When you think of Breitling, you usually think of the Navitimer, and that's for a good reason. The Navitimer is the brand icon. It first debuted over 70 years ago, and it has largely remained unchanged since its inception. It's not the oldest model in the catalog, it's not the most capable spec-wise, but it has a very strong design. It is instantly recognizable from across the room, and it has been enjoyed by pilots and aviation enthusiasts for many years. And I have confidence that as long as Breitling exists, they will offer the public a Navitimer, and that's a good thing. But today I want to show a different watch that I think is quietly Breitling's best modern chronograph. And I actually think it's nicer than the Navitimer. I prefer it to the Navitimer. This is the Chronomat B0142. It's a large, sporty chronograph. It has 200 meters of water resistance. It has a large thread-down crown, a rotating dive bezel, and the same B01 manufacturer chronograph that's found in the Navitimer. So technically, this is a dive watch, but it doesn't feel like a super ocean chronograph. It doesn't feel like one of their divers. It feels more like a sporty chronograph akin to a Navitimer, but just more capable in specs or where you can take this, what you can do with it. In a similar way to the Navitimer, this Chronomat also looks distinctly Breitling, unavoidably Breitling. You are not going to confuse this watch with a different watch brand, and that's a good thing, especially when the design cues are so successful like they are on the Navitimer and this Chronomat. Notice the unashamed use of polishing, the proud rider tabs in the bezel, and the unique roller or rouleau style bracelet. I think the bracelet really makes this watch. It completes this watch. It takes this watch up to the next level. This Chronomat is large without being too big, too top heavy, or too unwieldy. It's refined feeling, but at the same time, still exciting looking. And I think that's difficult for a designer to really accomplish. Breitling knows how to make a great chronograph when it comes to function and reliability, wrist presence. This one has all of the ingredients for that successful recipe. It catches the eye, and whether watch collectors want to admit it or not, that's something that they generally prefer. Now, unlike a Navitimer, there is no Zinn reference that looks exactly like this design. Watch idiot savants will know what I'm referencing there. And if brand history is interesting to you as a watch fan as it is to me, the Chronomat name first debuted in 1941, which is well before the Navitimer was released. So one could accurately say that the original Chronomat was a forerunner to the more famous Navitimer, and I think that's intriguing. But what makes me like this Chronomat just a bit more than a Navi? It comes down to a combination of three different things. One is design, two is wrist presence, and three is functionality. Now, when it comes to design, I mentioned how this bracelet really makes this watch, and part of the success is how the bracelet transitions into the case. There are wide, flaring cylinder links with a dramatic taper into this substantive case. The transition between the case and the bracelet is so good that it almost looks like it's an integrated style, even though it's not. The application is just that clean. Now, this watch is the right amount of weight, height, and heft. That's important, I think, on a sporty luxury watch. I like noticing the watch on my wrist at times. I don't want it to disappear for, days at a time. You want to be reminded of the exciting piece of jewelry on your wrist. And when you look at this Chronomat, there's a lot going on. There are 3 subdials, there's a date complication, there's a tachymeter scale, there's a dive bezel, but for how much is going on, it's still a pretty simple face. And I think there's some strength in that simplicity. You can see everything that you need to, but it doesn't come across as overly busy like a Navitimer can. I know some watch collectors stay clear of the Navitimer because of how complicated or busy the dial looks. This Chronomat also features the traditional B logo, which is my personal favorite Breitling logo. Unfortunately, you won't find that on the Navitimer. You would find the retro AOPA Wings logo. And speaking of this old school B logo, not only is it found below the double 12 marker, but it's the counterbalance weight on the chronograph seconds hand. It's placed in this large, thread down style crown, and it's also found on the butterfly style deployant, or at least on the cylinder near the deployant on the rouleau style bracelet. Now, this watch, it's a proper diver. It has 200 meters of water resistance, so you can take this in water. You can wash it under the tap. You shouldn't be afraid of getting it wet, and that's something that holds some watch collectors back from really enjoying the Navitimer with its 30 meters of water resistance. So from a functionality standpoint, this you really could take anywhere. You could do anything. It has good lume. It's accurate. It's anti-magnetic. It's just a great companion for a daily wear type of watch, especially if you enjoy doing sport activities. And so that's a positive point in the favor of the Chronomat. Now, I might sound like I'm hating on the Navitimer, and I'm not trying to. I enjoy the Navitimer. I've owned the Navitimer in years past. I think it's Breitling's most recognizable watch. There are a lot of awesome things about the Navitimer, and if you love the Navi far more than the Chronomat, that's good. I'm just sharing the reasons why I personally prefer the Chronomat, and I think that the Chronomat, it doesn't get enough attention from watch collectors. It really is an underrated piece. It's a heck of a watch, and it's one that I genuinely adore wearing. But that said, there's no such thing as the perfect model. What about the drawbacks? There are two things that come to my mind in my time wearing this Chronomat B0142. One is this polished bezel. It's going to show wear easily, even if you're uber careful with it. There's just no getting around that. This bezel is a high wear area. The mirror polishing shows hairlines and scratches. It shows smudges and fingerprints, and that's kind of annoying. Omega did something with their Globemaster a few years ago when they introduced it in stainless steel that I haven't seen another brand do since, or at least do successfully. Omega placed a tungsten bezel on their steel watch. That bezel looks like stainless steel, but it carries the extreme scratch resistance of tungsten. And I imagine how great this Chronomat would be if Breitling was able to pull off the same feat here. Have a stainless steel looking bezel, but have the added benefit of tungsten when it comes to scratch resistance. That would be awesome. Lastly, this watch does not come with a quick adjustment system. This awesome rouleau bracelet has a basic butterfly style deployant, and it has the benefit of a seamless look. I'm not complaining about the look of the bracelet, but it does not have the perk of micro adjustments to dial in the perfect fit. So personally, I would be willing to sacrifice this seamless look of the rouleau for a traditional sports style clasp with a sliding micro adjustment. I think that would enhance what is already an amazing sports offering from one of my personal favorite brands. But tell me what you think about that. Is this quietly Breitling's best chronograph? Do you prefer this to the Navitimer? Do you agree with my opinions here? And if not, tell me where I strayed. If you enjoyed this watch video, please subscribe. I have a massive backlog of watch content, and I regularly release watch videos just like this one.